treehouse. And welcome back, young Mitchell.
Young Mitchell is
You
back.
may know previously Mitchell as an intern for Campfire Concepts. He joined us last summer into the start of fall. And now he's working with the city of Pontiac. He's the marketing manager there. Slowly worked his way up. Pretty soon he'll be the city administrator, maybe. Who knows?
Probably not, but
So we brought this rec celebrity here to talk with us because he's got some experience with water. The first time that I can reference the two of us were working in a wet outdoor recreation setting was we hiked the Northville-Placid trail.
little did we know we'd get rained on nearly every day.
Yeah. It's about 130 miles. We did 40 miles of a segment of it in New York State. Went out with my brother-in-law and a good friend of ours to do a hike for homeless veterans. Some of the things I tried to do to prepare for backpacking and possibilities of rain was I tried to get an extra liner for my backpack. I had a garbage bag, just something simple and cheap that I put inside of my backpack to cover everything. Really good tip I learned on a blog was you take a pair of clothing for the evening when you arrive into camp and you put it in a Ziploc bag, and that is your evening wear. So every time you arrive at night, you get out of your wet gear and you put on something that's dry and warm. Especially socks are critical when it comes to that. But then, I don't know if you have any other additional tips.
And also the next day's socks, if you throw those in the bottom of your sleeping bag, you could heat that with your just body heat. And even if there's any slight moisture with it, you'll often find that body heat in a controlled environment will actually dry things out a bit. But I would never sleep in clothes you had worn that day, just for temperature regulation.
So the first night that we were camping, we were completely soaked from the rain that had surrounded us all day while we were backpacking. Tried to start a fire. All the wood around us was wet. It was very difficult.
Yeah.
So what did we do the next day?
As a Boy Scout, you should be prepared. Well, it's cool to carry some fire starting materials on hand with you, some wax, lint, egg crates. That's a cool little thing. One thing we do know is that birch bark off a birch tree is like paper, and it's extremely flammable. It's wild because even when it's wet, moist, almost soaking, you shake it out and it will start fire.
That was the key. Mitchell was taking small pieces of wood after we got the birch bark going,
Scrambled.
cracking them, putting them in there, making sure they were going. And then we were setting the wood and logs and other pieces that were wet next to the fire and drying it out in order that we could use for bigger fuel and bigger fire later.
Because that big fuel, it keeps your fire going. Make your own clotheslines around it, hang up your clothes. However, if they're natural, like cotton, or you should never have cotton on a hike. But if like cotton or wool, they won't respond to heat in the same fashion that like a rayon, nylon, polyester will. And if you have like polyester or wicking clothes that you wear on a hike, having them too close to a fire can result in actual melting. They'll melt because they're a plastic foundation. And a lot of components on boots, if they're a composite material rather than leather, they can melt or like lose their structure. Use your resources wisely. It's around you. Nature's pretty cool.
Get it blazing. I think this is a good transition for us to switch gears and talk about the positive effects of water.
So what can local communities have for people that is wet but fun that people can get out of if they so choose to? Sounds like we're talking about a splash pad.
Yeah, maybe as a good option for practitioners in that it has less liability, less staff, maybe might not need as much insurance.
So, at the motherland of Pontiac, we have a new splash pad funded by the Humiston Trust, and it's down in our Humiston-Riverside Park, and it's actually a dual feature facility. It's a $2.1 million development of a playground and splash pad combo, all with state-of-the-art equipment, materials, design. The splash pad itself features 53 pumps.
Does yours recycle water?
And it recycles a 400-gallon tank of water, so it's a bit more efficient than a lot of other facilities. It's all an internal system as well, so you're not working from the outside, the city water system. However, with that, there's intricacies such as chemical treatments. You need special pH balances. There's a lot of maintenance that needs to take place such that water is good, recycled well, and so that's safe for every citizen that comes through.
So you were there with the city as they kind of walked through the process of designing and installing this new splash pad?
Yeah, more the installation and closure, not the design phase, really.
Okay. So, if you were starting over again, what would be something that you would tell your friends or you'd want to know before you were starting putting a splash pad in?
You'd want it at a good location. I think as for now, it's a good location. It's near downtown, and it's within or adjacent to a large park that is used for events and such. Having quality security systems surrounding it is very good. Like, we want that, and that it's not a liability towards our facilities and our assets, but there's people there who are human assets that we value and people in our community we value. And if there's bullying, vandalism, other things out there, you want that to be noted and taken care of promptly. Quality staff that knows how to respond to changes there, that knows how to really manage the people who may be there, and then having a set system for, say, like rentals or different parties.
And you have a fence surrounding it, which makes that a little bit easier.
We do have a fence, so it's its own area. It's certainly seen its pros. There's a few cons in that it's just a fully new system, and there's a lot of education required on our end, and we don't know what we don't know in regards to what could go wrong. And when you face that, you need to research that, then fix it. And that hasn't even been fully my baby, but I know that it's been realized as a full facility rather than, oh, it's a splash pad.
So we're almost out of time, and I might be putting you on the spot a little bit with this, but one thing I noticed that happens at your splash pad that might be a little bit different than what everybody else does in the Parks and Rec world is that you all employ a lifeguard there. What's the purpose, do you think, of you guys doing that?
In the first place, have existing lifeguards that are at the natatorium pool within it's our community rec center.
Indoor pool, right?
And that's our indoor pool. It's like our facility, halfway managed through us and the high school. And then we have about 10 lifeguards, and then others just to call on hand if we need to. They're all mostly high school students. Now, to get a lifeguard out at the splash pad now is extremely helpful in that we already have that pool of people, and it's a new facility for them to be able to watch.
That is nice.
It brings an idea of safety towards it. I mean, there's not the same dangers incurred to a splash pad and what may happen to someone using it as to like a normal pool with like not being able to swim. There are tripping hazards, slipping hazards. It's more of a management of people / management of facility.
Extra oversight. Yeah.
Rather than just to be a lifeguard. Because it's weird, lifeguard with not a body of water there. But there's a lot of working parts. It's someone to report to. If say, hey, there's these like 4 features that aren't working, what's going on? At the next break, that lifeguard, can call in to the main rec center, the main hub, say, hey, we have these things that were working yesterday, they're not now. And it humanizes the splash pad. So that's part of our park and rec department, so that they see we're putting effort and human effort into it.
I encourage you to check out Pontiac's splash pad online. Mitchell's put a number of different things on their social media. There's probably some really good videos out there of it as well. Go and visit it. It's a really unique splash pad playground combination. I would encourage you to go check it out. Mitchell would love to have you in the area. Thank you for coming back.
It will be closing down soon, though, as we are nearing fall. It is on Water Street. What a street for it to be on. right next to our
Tying it all
Humiston-Riverside.
back together. On Friday of IPRA conference in January of 2020, Mitchell, myself, Jesse, maybe a few others, we're going to get together and talk about creating videos, how that is going to really impact what you do as an agency, how you can do it fairly simply with the phones and materials that you have. So we encourage you to come and join us for that session. It'll be the next time you can see Mitchell. Hopefully we'll have him back in the treehouse again here in the future real soon. Thanks for coming. And I'd be remiss if I'd tell you, don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
Peace out from the treehouse.
Yeah!